I am inseparably connected with the joy, love, life, light, beauty, intelligence, power, health, peace, wholeness, wealth, harmony, bliss, and perfection of the great whole. Divine Spirit, go before me now and clear the way. Guide me, guard me, protect me, and make my day in every way better, better, and better, and manifest wealth, success, health, love, harmony, protection, abundance, and prosperity in my life now, so I can serve others. So be it, so it is done for the glory of God.
Hello, everybody. Hello, good morning. It is so good to be here with you. Wow, please say hello. I'd love to hear from you as we start. What is opening up for you since yesterday? You know what? How did our session, what has shifted already? Did you bring that quality that you wanted to create into your day yesterday? I want to hear from you. Good morning. Hi, Jasmine. Hello, everyone that's here on Zoom with me. It's so good to see you. So please share what's opening up for you. Hi, Nicole. Yeah, we're with our people. We're blessed to get to spend this morning together. You've been feeling ecstasy since yesterday morning and super calm. Wow, ecstasy is a really high vibration. That's a beautiful quality. And Nicole, that was your intention, right? That was what you wanted to cultivate. I'm curious who else made a declaration of the type of energy that you wanted to source. And is that alive for you? Susan, you've been feeling positivity, amazing. Okay, I'm going to do that funny thing where I open the Facebook Live, and so you might hear a little sound again. Okay, that way I can be with you all. So today's going to be a powerful day. Every day is going to build on the last, meaning that some of the content will be with you all. Oh my gosh. So today's going to be a powerful day. Okay. There we go. The content will build on itself, but so will you build on your own energy. You're going to keep building on this quality that you're choosing. And each day there'll be different opportunities to go deeper into that, to do some healing work, to make it more easeful and natural to be in that state. Today, I'm going to talk about how to access whatever it is that you want to access, right? So whether it's ecstasy or peace or joy. Hi, Philippe. I'm so happy that you made it here. So good to be here with you all. Let me actually spotlight me for everyone. So we're going to be talking about some of the highest energies that you can tap into every day that will give you an access point to the qualities that you want to experience in your life. And while over this next week together, I will be bringing on facilitators to do things like EFT tapping, which works on the nervous system level to reprogram. You're going to soon meet my partner in this project, Monica Adams. She's our community lead. She's been at a big event, but she'll be here tomorrow, and she's going to be leading you guys through a subconscious repatterning process. We have a lot of healing modalities because there is a power in doing that internal healing work. Okay. And sometimes all that's needed, and really the most powerful thing that you can do each day, is just consciously choose to cultivate the state that you want to be in. And a big part of that is just noticing where your awareness is. Okay. Awareness is like a flashlight. And whatever you're focusing on will have its light, will have the attention, will get bigger. And so many of us are focusing on what's not working, what's wrong with the world, what's wrong with yourself, what's wrong with your partner. Why isn't this working, right? There's so much energy there. And so that's what is real for you. But when you shift your attention to love, praise, and gratitude, to all that is good and beautiful in the world, your whole life changes. That gets bigger. That becomes your reality. You always have the availability to be on both poles, right? If we live in a dual universe, which was created so that we could know what love, gratitude, praise feels like, so that we could remember ourselves as the creator. It's not because we have to be in a duality, but there is a duality, and we need to choose what pole we want to be on. Do we want to be on the pole that is of connection, love, joy, ecstasy, praise, thriving? Or do we want to be on the pole that is of suffering, of fear, of regret, of overwhelm, of exhaustion? It's really a matter of choice. And you might say, well, all these crazy things are happening in the world, and the world is crazy and people are fucked up. Yes, the ego has created some ugly things. Your own ego inside of yourself and your world, and the collective ego has created some ugly things like war. But what if you loved the game of life so much that you even trusted that, because you understood that it's just a creation of the ego, and that it itself, including these most intense things like war, which yes, we get to send our prayers for. And of course it's awful. And when your heart breaks, and whenever, we experience really hurtful things in this life, it's true. But these are both creations of the ego and also your perfect opportunity for your soul to evolve and for you to remember your creative inheritance. So if you actually chose to trust life so much that you actually no longer had any negative energy towards anything in your life or in the world, it doesn't mean that you like certain things, but you can not like something like war and not be in like resistance and judgment of it at the same time. Now I'm saying war because that's like the most extreme, right? But in your own life, rather than hating yourself for doing this behavior again, can you actually just like sweetly look at yourself with a smile and be like, oh, sweet child, you're learning, you're remembering. The more often that you choose to see life as beautiful, as rigged in your favor, as inherently good, as yourself as inherently good, as humanity as inherently good, and just see that everyone is just working their things out, because we literally came here as souls for our soul to have particular healings and growth that happens often through the challenges and through the contrasts. And it came here to remember that it is the creator. You have a creative inheritance. You are the source. You are so powerful. And rather than being upset with yourself that you feel like you haven't remembered that, or like you watch all these people around you feeling like they figured it out, are you willing to just trust the process a little more? And so when you shift your awareness from what's not working and what's wrong and what's bad to how beautiful and how much you love life, your whole life will change. Just that one thing. So the energies of love, praise, and gratitude will, if you consciously cultivate those every day, will shift everything. And like I said, they are access points to whatever is that day-to-day state that you really want to be in: inspiration, creativity, joy, peace, acceptance. They're access points. Just like Preeta Ji, for those of you who are on Sunday for the spring equinox, who's an incredible spiritual teacher, she was talking about how most of us connect to the divine or connect to source or ask for things from a place of something not working. We ask for help to get out our suffering. But it is our prayers are answered so much more powerfully when we cast those prayers from a place of love, praise, and gratitude, from a place of peace, from a place of excitement, from a place of loving yourself and your life so much. And so it is your responsibility and your opportunity to create those states on a day-to-day. Look, people around me ask me all the time, how are you always so happy? You're always so positive. Like, I can have crazy shit going on because my life isn't perfect, but I can have like crazy things going on. And most people who know me well are like, how are you so like at peace right now? Look, I don't wake up every day directly out of bed like, woo! Sometimes I do. But sometimes I wake up with busy mind, not an anxiety mind. I don't have, but like I'll wake up with a busy mind or I'll wake up tired. I create my energy. I don't just wait for life to give me something. I am life. I am the creator. You are the source. You are the creator. So if you want to experience joy, create joy. I was on with a client yesterday, amazing man, beautiful life, but he's like, I don't feel excitement. And he said that with way less excitement, way less animation than I just did because I'm excited. You know, and I'm like, look, like you're waiting for something to make you excited. You have to just create it, generate it. And in a moment, I literally just started getting excited because I have access and I know that it's not that something's going to give me excitement. Sometimes that happens. But if you're always waiting for someone or something to give you the state that you want, you're missing the point of the game. You are the source. So return to source, we're going to play with that idea of source in multiple ways. I chose those 3 words together because it's actually a really powerful code, mantra. And in this moment, I'm referring to source as you. You are the source of your life. You are the source of all the relationships around you. You are the source of your experience. You know, if you walked into a party and it was kind of dull or boring, rather than complaining about how it's kind of boring, you could get on that dance floor and dance your butt off and be with a big smile. And I guarantee there'll be a dance party around you soon. You can come into any room and turn the lights on by being the light. But most of us just go and are kind of like watching and waiting for something to happen to us. So love, praise, and gratitude. High vibrations. Love. What do you love? Like start thinking about it. Because if you can just bring more love into your life on a day-to-day, you will feel so much better. You will be so much more powerful. Like I love the sunrise. When I see the sun rising over the horizon, I just let it be an invitation to delight in the beauty and the perfection of this life and the fact that I was given another day and I was given another breath. That I didn't, like, you're not guaranteed the breath of life. You are not guaranteed that you'll wake up in the morning. So many people pass away in their sleep. But you were reborn today. And so when that sun rises and I hear the birds singing, I love the song of the birds. And I love flowers. Like I love buying flowers, playing with flowers. I take them in. I stop and smell flowers. When I go on a run right now I'm in Austin and there's a lake, I love watching the people with the dogs and the kids and everyone's having fun. And I just like, so I could go on. And I want you out loud right now, just take a couple minutes and bring life into it. And you notice that I was saying simple things. It's not like these grand things. Like I am finding love, like, oh my God, you guys, watermelon is amazing. Amazing. Like fruit. Every time I have a piece of fruit, I'm just like, oh my God, like, thank you, life, for creating this for me. So just take a moment and bring energy. Start to speak out loud things that you love and let yourself feel it, like more than normal. Are you doing it? Are you speaking what you love? Write it in the chat. I want to see some things. What do you love? And like, Yes, of course, if you're a parent, you love your children. Unless, of course, if you have a partner, you love your partner. And please, like, build up love everywhere you can. But what else in the little things? Like when I get in bed at night, I take a moment to just love my bed. The fact that I have a bed makes me so happy. And love and gratitude, like they really love, praise, and gratitude are of a similar energy. Green drinks, healthy food, a shower, a house, and a car. Amen. Right? My dog, sunshine, beautiful countryside, exercise, being fit and healthy. I love all these things too. I don't have dogs, but I love dogs. But what's beautiful about having dogs? You can encode things in your life to remind you of what you want to be reminded of. So as an example, like there's certain things like sunrise, flowers, hummingbirds, butterflies. These are things that are like pretty common depending on the season with the hummingbirds and butterflies. But when I see them, I delight. I let them be an invitation to just feel so grateful and be in relationship to the perfection of life. It's not that those things necessarily inherently did that for me, but like I put energy into them, right? So something that's in your household, like your dogs, yeah, central heating and electricity and running water. I mean, truly, we take so many things for granted, but who loves a good hot shower? Like those moments, but you could get into the shower every time you get into the shower and let it be as good as those best moment showers. Because we all know that there's just those moments when the hot shower just hits really good. Like whether you just went camping or you just got off of a long plane ride, or maybe you've been in a place that didn't have hot water for a while, or really bad water pressure. And then all of a sudden you have like a really good shower. Like we all know those moments. But what if every time you got in the shower, you're like, wow, like, thank you, life, for this water. Thank you that I can turn on this faucet and have water coming out. Fruit, flowers, sunshine, being motivated, beautiful young people like me, we're changing the world. Oh, thank you, Sheila. That's so sweet of you. Yeah, it's beautiful to see people inspired and creating, right? I love that too. Oh, sitting by the river in our backyard, Dr. Lane, it's those simple moments. Nature walking, discovering the world, Maria. It's those moments that if you really brought your full presence into them, you would feel so much joy and peace by bringing your love alive. Okay. Now, praise. Praise is, to me, like the integration of love and gratitude. Now, for those of you that believe in God, believe that there's a source of creation, praise is going to just be like this like blissful celebration of that we were created, that life is perfectly designed, that God is good, that life is inherently good. But even if it's not about God, like just praising life, being in this energy of celebration. And so I'm actually going to take a couple minutes, 3 minutes. I'm going to put on a song, and I want us to all stand up, and you're going to hear in the song rainbows. So I just saw that, Susan, that's another one for me. When I see a rainbow, I let myself freak out in the best way. I'm just like, yes, like God makes rainbows. You guys, I'm in Austin, Texas right now, and there was a tornado warning yesterday, and it was like getting crazy. And then a rainbow came out. I mean, if that's not a perfect metaphor for life, that storms create rainbows, just you've got to smile and laugh about how perfect it all is, as it is if you say so. It is. It's just a matter of whether you believe it to be or not. Because if you're focusing on how people are bad and things are wrong and the world is fucked up, you're going to be miserable because you can't win. If you think there's something inherently wrong with you, you're never going to win. You start to win the game of life by actually believing that the game is rigged in your favor. And now you just need to learn how to play the rules of the game a little better so you can win. And I'm telling you, this is one of the rules, one of the laws. It just shift your attention to the other pole where love, gratitude, and praise exists, where the rainbows exist, okay? And the bees exist, and your dogs and your kids and the fruit and the flowers and all of the beauty that nature created. The only things that are ugly are of the ego. So rather than hating man, we just get to love them for the evolutionary journey that we are all on. Okay, so I'm gonna play a song. This song is called Say Yes to Life. And they're two of my friends, Asiera and Ayla. And I want you to imagine that we're all together. I've heard this song many times in live performances, they are super light, vibrant beings. So whether you like the song or not is not the point. There's a beautiful message, which is say yes to life. And it says, say yes to love. It's about saying yes, like say yes to life, to your love for life. And so I want us all to stand up. You can dance. I want you to bring alive your yes, like really declare and claim your yes. When they say yes out loud. Okay. Use the power of your word, the power of your own vibration to declare and claim your yes. Yes. Can I have everyone just say yes, that you're going to play, that you're willing to say yes to life? I want to see the comments. I want to see everyone, Facebook, YouTube, Zoom, say yes. And my invitation, especially if you're not feeling like it, if you're like having a kind of funky day or you're tired and you're like, I'm not in the mood, create a new mood. Do you know how often I'm not in the mood and I have to like create it? All the time. It's called being human. It's called being the source. Like, I feel like the mood happens so that we could also experience ourselves of creating something. A new mood, a new attitude, a new state. So we're going to play right now. Dance if you feel like dancing, but like, it's only like 2 to 3 minutes. So take the opportunity to go all in. I'm going to put myself on mute so that the sound doesn't sound too funky. You're just going to hear the song. All right. And just say yes. And this is your praise. Build up your energy. Again, it doesn't matter if you like the song. Don't focus on that. Just focus on like, what do you love? Focus on what you're grateful for. Focus on what you love. Focus on what you're saying yes to. What's the state you're saying yes to? What's the creations you're saying yes to? You know, like, and write it right now. What are you saying yes to? I want to hear, what are you saying yes to? Like, set your intention right now for what your yes is. And I'm getting the song ready. And everyone stand up.
Say yes to life. 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 To light, say yes to light, say yes, say yes, say yes, say yes, say yes.
Each day that we wake, we have one of two opportunities. And may we rise in the gratitude to realize by opening our eyes at what an epic opportunity it is to be alive. And may we say yes to the things that are in the fullest alignment of our soul's calling. The things that uplift our soul and call us into our greatest alignment of what we came here to do. May we bloom with the flowers and sprout with the seeds and branch with the trees. May we say yes to the rivers, to the mountains, to the breeze. May we say yes over and over again. Say yes.
Say yes.
Yes. Okay, let's all reach our hands up to the sky. And just imagine what you're receiving right now, what it is that you want to bring more of into your life. Feel yourself receiving that abundance, love, connection, guidance, joy, bliss, peace, acceptance, forgiveness, projects you want to create, surrender. And on the count of 3, we're going to pull it down with a big yes. Like say it out loud, full energy. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Yes. 2 more. Doesn't that feel good? 2 more. Ready? Reach up, receive, 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 and yes. One of us, reach up and just feel life like showering you with blessings right now. And yes. And laugh, 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 laugh. Yes. Oh my goodness. So good. How is everyone feeling? Just 3 minutes. Do you feel different? Did you shift your state? I see smiles in the Zoom room. I'm seeing smiles. How's everyone on Facebook? Yes. Monet, I love that. Why not have it all? Because you have always been worthy. You are, and you will always be worthy. You are, like all of us, are inherently perfect. So you're worthy of everything that you desire. Absolutely. And so whatever that quality was yesterday that you wanted to bring into your day, that is your intention for this next week together, I want you to take this moment now that we just built up this energy of love, praise, and gratitude, and I'm seeing the smiles and I'm seeing all this energy. Imagine for a moment, cultivate for this moment that quality that you want to embody more of. It's so much more accessible once you've already shifted your state to a beautiful state. So I know for some of you, it's joy. For some of you, it's ecstasy. It's thriving. It's acceptance. You know, whatever yours was yesterday, you declared. If you weren't here yesterday, I asked you to choose one quality that you really want to cultivate and choose and be the source of for the next 10 days. So bring that into you right now, whether that means you're dancing or you're smiling or you're opening your arms. You can really use your body somatically to support you to feel it, but feel it. Be it. So good. And my invitation to you all for the rest of this day is to bring love, praise, and gratitude into your day as much as possible. So when you're sitting by the lake or you're going on that walk, you're walking your dogs, you're with your kids, you're making food, bring more presence into how grateful you are and how magnificent it is. Whatever it is that you do, that's actually kind of normal. Like we talked about showers. When you take your shower today, let that shower be magnificent. Let it be like those epic showers you take after 30 hours of travel, or you take after a week out in nature, whatever it is, you know, like let it be that good. Even if you're in a place right now where you don't love your shower that much, just like, I'm so grateful to have a shower. Wow. So whatever it is that you're up to today, when you eat your food, when you are, whatever you're up to, this energy is available. And when you create it, your whole day will shift. Your whole state will shift. Yes, I will share the song. So after all of each day, I'm going to be making a post with gifts from our speakers. And also if I played any songs or if I shared any resources. And so keep an eye for that thread. And I'm so excited because our next guest is here, the amazing BC Cerna. I'm going to bring him up with me. BC is such, let's see, let me unmute you.
Love y'all.
So grateful to introduce you to this beautiful soul. And that's really, he has such a beautiful heart. You're going to feel it. He's going to actually just like build on what we've been talking about right now so that you can really return to source. You know, he is a purpose guide and has been living quite an unconventional life. You know, I think you've stayed with 150 different host families around the world, right? So
yeah.
You've been on a journey, and you just had your first child, and the work that you're doing is so beautiful. And, you know, BC, welcome to Return to Source.
Thank you so much. So honored to be here. Really appreciate it.
I'd love for you to start off by sharing a bit about your journey over the last year. And, you know, we don't need a lot of the details because since we only have 30 minutes, I want to really make sure that you leave everybody with perspective and things that they can do. But I feel like your story is so valuable because, y'all, his entire life has taken a quantum leap, complete transformation in the last year. And it wasn't a matter of so much doing, right? And so I wanted him to start with a story just to really reinforce for all of us, no matter where you're at, your life can look different tomorrow, and it can for sure look different in a year if there's just a couple different choices that you're willing to make. So BC, would you start us off with a little bit of your journey?
Yeah, well, thank you so much, Charlene. So honored and proud to be here, and just also so proud of you, and congrats on this event. Like, I really hope, I know you're in it all, but I also hope, like, just to honor you on like your courage and your audacity to like just lead with such, I don't know, abundance and grace. And it's just very magnetic. So I'm really, just the way I saw everything unfold for this was really powerful. So congrats.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And, I'm going to have an awkward moment where I'm going to sit. So everyone, you're going to see me kind of shift, but you're sitting, I want to sit with you, but go ahead and share your story.
Yeah, well, thank you all so much. So nice to meet you guys. And I'm sure people are tuning in from all around the world, which is really awesome. I'm tuning in from Denver, Colorado right now. And yeah, just so thankful to be here. I guess the story maybe you're referring to is my like romantic story, which has been like a beautiful, I guess, fresh story part of my life in the last 14 years of the work I've been able to do. And yeah, back in 2021 in January, I moved into a Sprinter van. I left LA. I lived in LA for like 6 years and really just couldn't get my heart in like centered in my romantic life and just kind of like different parts of my relationship with God. And so I went to the desert and turned my phone off for a while and deleted social media, and really just had to get really to the source, which for me at that time was nature, and had crazy encounters with God and the Holy Spirit, just like super, not only naked soul, naked life, like just so in nature, just being sober. Like my soul was sober and didn't have any sort of, anything to stimulate me, whether it was even like a text message or a phone call from a friend. I was fully, like, I guess for me, sober in my soul. And I guess romantically, my best friend for the last like 2 years was in LA, and I really didn't see her in that light, but it was my best friend, and we like had affections and feelings for each other. But I feel like what I say is like my head was too far in my ass. I couldn't see it. And so I got that clear, sober heart, and God was just really spoke to me. He was like, hey, if it's not your best friend, like who would it be? And it was really clear. And so after 2 months in the desert, she joined me in my van, and we lived in my van for a year, and then ended up proposing, getting married, and having a kid. So it was that last, I guess, part of my life has been a really fun journey of the last 14 years part of my life. So yeah, I think that's what you're referring to, right?
Yeah, well, my understanding is that's just part of it too, that like, your finances have taken a huge shift since that time of going offline, your clarity around your purpose, and your just general feeling of fulfillment and clarity. And, the relationship, the child, it's like everything that wasn't quite working in your life, by taking that time to go into nature and return to source, really shifted. And so maybe you could just share a bit about that journey and what that revealed to you, like how has that impacted your life? Like, what are your practices now and your just perspective that was shown to you by just being willing to go offline?
Yeah. I mean, I guess there was so many in that, but so I'll give you like everyone a rundown. The last 14 years since I was 19 years old, I started traveling the world with study abroad programs and working for them and taking hundreds of college students from all around the world to over 80 countries. And so I traveled quite a bit in my younger 19 to 20s, and then and then I was traveling the world for 4 years at the time, 19 to 23, and asked myself, I was like praying after, traveling the world for 4 years at a young age. I was like, all right, God, what's the biggest need in the world? And whatever that is, I'm going to go do it. And I feel like I was like writing down these journals. I was in Mexico City at the time, and I was like, all right, is the biggest need in the world water in Africa or orphans? Like, I was like, I was young and naive. I was like, what's the biggest need in the world? And I want to go do it. And I felt like God was like, the biggest need in the world is young people of America to awaken up. And I was like, that does not sound exciting or cool. I do not want to go back to the US. And so it was really clear. I wrote down, I had this huge like formula on my journal of this like algorithm of what's the biggest thing in the world. And I never had anyone when I was in high school tell me about passion or purpose or joy or everything that made me a horrible student. I had like a 2.0 GPA. Ended up making me an incredible creative and like heart-led person. And so I didn't know this my entire life, and the world really taught me this. And so I was like, man, I'm going to go back to the US and work with high school kids, as many as I can, to really invite them into their hearts and stories and how to become a heart-led leader, and hopefully take them around the world. So I started doing that. I went back to the US at 22 years old, moved into my parents' basement, and I just started working with high school kids. And that's like the only thing I can think of, and started building high school leadership programs. And next thing you know it, I'm working with a bunch of inner city kids in Denver, like in the lower income like area that's like at-risk youth, and started getting them passports and taking them around the world. And so it was like this really beautiful decade in my 20s of just using that resource to take high school kids around the world to teach them about culture and passions and purpose. Meanwhile, I had a camera with me and I started documenting all this, and started traveling, telling humanitarian stories from Syrian refugees in Lebanon to crises in Kenya, and kind of all around the world doing this. And then it kind of all boiled down to me turning 30 after doing this for 11 years. And I asked, all right, what's the next biggest need in the world? And it came to raising leaders, like leaders creating leaders. Like I was doing so much for so long, working with thousands of people in their 20s and high school kids. And now I was like, I can't do it all. I need to create leaders. And so built an online program called Mentorship Mastermind. And it's called Pursuing Purpose. And that was like my podcast and everything. And for the last 4 years, I've had the honor to run programs that are online and in-person retreats, really helping people heal and tap into pursuing purpose, which in a nutshell for me is pursuing people and really finding out how to really gear your life. I guess like what I was in the desert, I realized is we're made up of like 3 different circles. And there's culture, there's biology, and then there's our soul, like our truth. And the soul should be the front of like a tricycle. If you know a tricycle, there's like one front wheel pulling 2 back wheels. And I really was in the desert and I was like, man, for a long time, the front wheel was my biological wheel pulling my soul and my culture. And then my culture wheel was the front wheel. And I was like, how can I always realign to make sure the front wheel of my tricycle is my soul, like is my truth, is God's will. And it's pulling my biology and culture instead of the other way around. And so, yeah, always trying to tap into how can I learn, always continue to learn and humble myself and just be like, all right, what's the next, like stage of my life? Like, where's the next, challenge? And always learning, always figuring out new things. So yeah, I hope that helps.
What is it that you do or can offer to people to help them have their soul, God's will, be leading the way? And maybe you can even speak into how you differentiate, or when you say God and when you say soul, what does that mean to you? Is it one and the same? Is it different? Because it seems like you're kind of like you've both them together. And I think it could be supportive for people, not to say that your truth is the truth, but I know a lot of people here are kind of grappling with, what does it mean to be a God-led or spirit-led leader? Like what is leading the way? What am I surrendering to? What am I listening to? What's the difference between higher self, future self, God? And so I think it'll be helpful just for everyone. Is this helpful? I'd love for you guys to say in the comments, like, do you want to hear different people's perspective of what they mean by God and what they mean by soul? And so if you could speak into that a little bit, I know it's a big question. And also just really practically, like, what is your daily practice, or what is it that you do and to actually let your soul be the one leading the way?
That's a beautiful question. I love spirituality and the topic of it. And I've always felt somewhat spiritually homeless because I never really fit in too many like circles and conversations of challenging both sides of the pendulum. It's really hard for me to I always talk about spirituality. Like the other day, I was talking to people about God and Jesus and Holy Spirit. And I kind of look at the Trinity as like this divine dance. And I'm not that religious of a person. Like it might sound like when I say Jesus or Holy Spirit or God, it's like, oh, that sounds like Bible stuff. But I'm very I've lived with Muslims. I've lived with monks. I've lived in monasteries and with monks all over Asia and lived with people. And I really looked at the human experience for, since I was 19 years old, and took a step back from everything of just like, man, I want to learn it all. And I want to understand what humans are going through. And for me, the journey of I call it the divine dance, where it's not just, I think a lot of Christians maybe, which is like really, I didn't really fit inside of a church really well because I didn't like too much of the structure of like religion and just how it was like, it just tasted weird of like this entitlement or this pride or this, we know everything, we have all the answers. And I think God is much more whimsical than that. And so I look at it as like this trinity of this divine dance. And when I was in the desert, I knew Jesus, I knew God, and I never really encountered the Holy Spirit. And I never even thought about it. I knew what the Holy Spirit was. And one moment, after being my sober soul for, a few months, I was recording myself on my camera, talking about just how my experience is going. And the moon came up over this ridge. It was a full moon over this mountain range, and it was fully pink. And it was the biggest, most incredible, gorgeous moon I've ever seen in my entire life. And I'm trying to talk to the camera, and I look at it and you see like my reaction. And then I'm trying to talk to the camera and refocus. And then I start crying, and then I have to turn the camera off because I was having this experience. I didn't know what was going on. And at that moment for me, I found out from my personal story that the moon was feminine. And I also found out the Holy Spirit was feminine. And I was just like in this, I don't know, I just had this really emotional experience with nature and like this, I don't know, I guess like completing my divine dance, like circular trinity of like, it's all of it, it's a very circular thing. And so that moment for me was like, whoa. And so then I started bringing people on retreats to come to nature. And that's like a pillar of my program now and my retreats. And so I hope that helps. I guess like for me, I look at all of it, and I'm just really intimately close with God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit, and not in any sort of way, but more of like a dance. If that makes some sense. I hope that helps some people. I'm still like always learning. I've studied theology, I've studied scripture. And like I said, I've studied different religions. And I don't really use words too much to describe my spiritual practice. Like my whole life is just based off of frequency and a vibration. And the other day, I was baptizing people in Los Angeles after I came back from the desert, not on purpose. But a friend of mine that I've been like talking with God about for a lot was like, hey, my 30th birthday is coming up. I would be honored if you baptized me. And she grew up not really religious or with God, but she like wanted this experience. And so, got the honor of doing that last year. And for me, it's a much more, I was telling her, she was like, how do I explain my relationship to God to people? How do I tell my sister or my dad, and how do I explain this to people? And I kind of laughed, and I just had this idea come to my mind where I was like, imagine your favorite song, like your favorite number one song that you love more than anything, and how it could either make you cry, it can make you dance, it can give you goosebumps, it can literally make you feel something. Like you can have the worst day and then you listen to it and you have the best day. And you can't really explain that. And I was like, imagine your favorite song. And then I'm going to you, a friend of mine, and I'm explaining my favorite song, but they can't hear it. And I'm expecting them to have the exact same reaction. And so I'm like, oh my God, like Stephanie, there's this song. It's the most amazing song. It goes, da, 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 boom, boom. And I cried here and get goosebumps here. And I'm like, did you feel it? And they're like, no, you just made some sounds with your mouth. And I'm like, no, it was like a saxophone and a piano. Like, do you feel it? And they wouldn't be able to, I can't show them the song. And so I dance. And so my dance to my life, my expression of love is how I'm listening to God's song to me. And however I dance, which is love, and love people and myself and the world, that is how I listen to God's song. And so maybe one day someone's coming by and they see me dancing, AKA loving, and they're like, yo, what song are you listening to? I really want to learn about this. And I'm like, oh, I could, talk about it all day. But it's so much more intimate. Like there is no answers and there is no understanding. And the more encapsulated you get with God, the less explanation it becomes and more understanding it becomes. We live in our cranial, we're very cerebral, brilliant humans. And so we love to either understand something or control something. And I think, Charlene and everyone in this group that, this is like, God's like, yo, I'm going to build my kingdom inside your heart. And this is where I'm going to build like this foundation and this truth. And then God's like, and guess what? I'm never going to let you humans ever understand me here because it'll lose all the joy and mystery of life. So, I don't know.
No, that is so beautiful because truly we come to know God, the divine, our soul, our spirit, our heart through our own embodiment, through our own practice. And so my main invitation this whole 10 days is to inspire people to really be in that devotional practice. There's many ways to God. There's many names and faces of God. And so it's like, as I've been on my spiritual journey, my relationship, I couldn't even use the word God. I said this yesterday. It's like, I had mega resistance to the word God 10 years ago. That would have never come out of my mouth. And I only knew Jesus as this weird Christian figure, and then I went into like the mythos of Christ and Mary Magdalene, and I've studied Kabbalah and I've studied ancient Egyptian mysticism, and like they're mostly all saying the same thing. And what I have found though through the study, because I do find that there is a value of having teachers and study, whether that's a Bible or a minister or a Egyptian mythology, whatever it is for you that resonates, the mind does like to have some level of understanding, and it supports it creates some level of context for you to know how to kind of like play with different energies. But you, like you said, you can never really know God through the mind. Like, as an example, through two of my teachers actually, and they helped me understand the quality of the Holy Spirit as feminine, right? Because in Christianity, the Holy Spirit is masculine. It was never supposed to be masculine, and so it's just like one of the distortions of religion that I think is part of why we are also confused about what God is, because a lot of religion has been skewed for control, and there's been a lot of dogma. And so it's okay that your mind might be kind of confused. You can like let go of all the things you know or don't know, and just be willing to be in the daily practice, which can look different ways. And for BC, you have transformed by way of having the practice of going into nature, unplugging, being willing to like let it all go for a little bit. And that's not necessary for all of us, right? Like, it's not always necessary to have big retreats, but if you're not at least listening on a day-to-day, then you're never going to hear God for yourself. And in this last session before BC came on, I was talking about love, praise, and gratitude. When you get into that state, this is what BC just said in his own way. When you get into that state, God is present. God is love, praise, and gratitude. And so when you're in suffering, you can't really access the divine. Because if it's an energy, if it's a frequency, then when you're in the frequency of the divine, then you have access to that listening. And so by just choosing to cultivate love, praise, and gratitude, or BC, you said like your dance is like the way that you love. Just speak into that a little bit more. Like, tell it, like, share with us, what does it feel like to be in the day in a dance, loving?
Yeah, well, your conference is called Return to Source. So, how do we daily come to, our waking up and knowing, I pray that my cup is empty when I wake up, so I can learn, as like the same way as I exercise, I eat, healthy smoothies and I work out. Spiritual is the same way. And humans, we look at knowledge and wisdom and books and podcasts, and then we work out and we exercise. And we're brilliant humans. We've put, things on Mars and microchips the size of our fingernails. So there's incredibleness to it. And, there's this essence that we'll never be able to recreate or re-understand or, like box, and that is God. And well, you said the Holy Spirit actually in the Bible is a feminine word. But I think, through the translations, through religion, through like people who have tried to control things, it's been like translated, communicated, and we've lost the essence that everything is sacred, and that the earth, like the first Bible we've ever been given, was nature. And in scripture, it says, God's like, I will reveal myself in nature. You don't even need scripture. You don't even need the word. It's like, go to nature and you'll find God. And it says that in the Bible. And then there's a scripture that when I was in the desert that came to my heart was that God's like, if I provide for all the trees and all the birds, what makes you think I won't provide for you? My most amazing creation, And so like this idea that like, oh man, I'm in nature watching the birds eat, and I'm watching the trees get sunshine and water. And I'm like, oh my God, God's going to provide for me 100%. He's doing it for all these things in nature. And so it humbles me and reminds me that how much do I need? Like nature has this energy to it where it doesn't take more than what it needs. The water, the trees absorb what it needs, and the birds eat what they need. And if the birds went and ate too much, or the trees got gluttonous and ate all the water and other trees died, that wouldn't happen. And so there's this sacredness and unity in nature, and humans found this, psychological understanding that we need more and we need more. And so when we're looking at ourselves and we're in this idea of scarcity mindset, it's usually because God's like, I'm going to provide for what you need. You don't need this extra thing. So we feel lack because we're not hitting our numbers for followers or money or whatever, sales, whatever it is. And it's because we're starting to be manipulated by this like mindset, this scarcity mindset. And yeah, there's more than enough, and we don't really need that much.
Mm. Is there something you tell yourself, or a practice that you do, or just a way that you catch yourself if you find yourself in any scarcity? And scarcity is not just money. Scarcity is time, is energy, is love. Like, scarcity shows up differently for different people. Some people here are super financially abundant, but you feel a scarcity of time. Like, there's for most humans still working out our ego, all of us, there's like, the ego loves not enoughness. Loves this like idea of, because it is scarce, because it's not real. It's not the abundant, limitless true self, the soul, God, and so it's okay that we feel scarcity, right? I just want to like affirm to everyone that it's okay, because who you inherently are is perfect. And it's okay that you have moments of humanness, and you get to love and just like laugh at yourself. And so I like to like share different ways that I shift. One way is that I literally laugh at myself.
Yeah,
and it breaks my like delusion of overwhelm or not. But what is there some things, BC, that you do to kind of, if you notice some type of scarcity showing up, that helps you get in right-mindedness?
Totally. Yeah. I think going back to like one of the first things I said with the wheels, like the tricycle wheel, the front being the soul. And every time I have an emotion, either culturally or biologically, whether it's scarcity, finances, scarcity, I'm 33 and I haven't bought a house yet, whatever, like that's culturally. And then biology, and I'm always like, okay, is this my front wheel? Is it my biology, my culture, or is it my soul, like my truth leading? And what I tell a lot of people is anyone can pursue their passions alone. I can become a great photographer or an artist alone, but your purpose, God designed for you to not be able to do it alone. And so you might feel insecure because you're like, man, I wish I can talk and do this. And I wish I could do it all, but we're designed perfectly. So we can never accomplish our purpose alone, because so it will humble us and have humility to where anytime I receive a compliment for what I am doing or what I've done, it's like this imposter syndrome kind of like laugh of like, man, like, I wish I could take any sort of credibility for what I'm doing, but like God sent me the friends, the resources, the message, the curriculum. Like I truly felt like but if I'm a photographer and I'm a great photographer, I could probably take credit for taking a good photo, but your purpose, it's always going to humble you. It's always going to leave you with just total like surrender. And so every decision I make, whether it's financially, or emotionally or mentally or spiritually, it's really just like tapping into, this awareness of that. Like I am, and like I said, I don't want to be religious, but God's will, where like, I'm not married to anything I'm doing. And if tomorrow God took away my platform and my podcast and my Pursuing Purpose company, I would be like, cool, what's next? And then because I'm not married to anything like that, I have this like freedom to always know I'm not what I'm doing, and my identity is not tied in what I'm doing. And so if I ever go to an event or meet new people, if my friends would say this about me, but I'll always be asking people questions, and I'll do an entire 2 hours hanging out with people and no one will know one thing about what I do. And I like that because it's not about what I'm doing. It's about who I am. And so always just trying to find that ego, that identity. In LA, when you go to LA, it's all transactional relationships. Every event you go to and everyone you meet, it's like, what can you do for me? What can I do for you? And so at one point, a couple of years ago, I was with my friends and we started telling people at events, like really high profile events, like, oh yeah, we drive for Uber, or we charge bird scooters. And that's like not a bad thing, but in LA, that could be like a low, hanging fruit of like, yeah, I deliver food for Uber Eats. And if someone were to like be in LA at an event and be like, oh, you deliver Uber Eats? Oh, cool, I'll see you later, and leave, then you didn't waste your time with someone who wanted a transactional relationship. And we're all about transformational relationships where it's like, I drive for Uber Eats, and then someone at an LA event's like, oh, amazing, cool. What are you passionate about? And they stick around knowing you can't offer them anything. Then you want to like mess with them. Like that's a person to fuck with for sure, of like, oh, cool, you think I drive for Uber Eats? And, so I'm just saying, like, try to find your identity of like, what do you feel like you go in a room and you're trying to, and I used to be like this. That's why I'm saying that. I used to go into a room when I was like 23, 25, even like older. And I would be like, I travel the world and I'm really unique and I'm cool. Like, and I wanted I like could have a, what's that?
I'm really special. Look at me. Pay attention to me.
Yeah, I would like have this knot in my chest until someone validated me and really found that like my validation is in myself, obviously, and returning to how God sees me, and that approach to life of just constantly being humbled of yeah, I wish I could take credit. And the imposter syndrome is actually like a beautiful thing where, you know, you're doing something right if you have imposter syndrome of like, oh, cool. Like this feels weird because yeah, you have a higher calling than just what you're, you know, I don't have a PhD or I don't have anything culturally successful, you know, that I've done. But in the spiritual realm, I feel like, you know, I have some degrees, maybe, who knows?
Wow, this is so beautiful. I love that experiment too of seeing how people respond to you and relate to you when, you know, they see when you're an Uber driver or whatever it is, and not trying to like prove yourself at all anymore. And I'd love for you to do your best to speak into the underlying kind of perspective that allows you, you know, something you said is that if my platform, if everything was taken away tomorrow, I'd say, great, what's next? And you also, you know, like let go of meaning to prove yourself. And so for me, I'll just speak so you can kind of see what I mean. What I hear underneath that is an inherent trust in life of like, no matter what, I'll always be taken care of. No matter what, I'll always have what I need. Like I'm a perfect image and likeness of God, which means that I can create, that I like, that I'm being guided if I listen, that like I am here for a purpose and that God will always support that purpose. So this is some of my beliefs that allow me to surrender, that allow me to move through crazy challenges with grace. And I'd love for you to like, you know, like what is that kind of like that baseline of how you see life that allows you to say, what next? That allows you to surrender, that allows you to go into the desert for 3 months, that like, you know, like there's kind of like a baseline way of seeing the world that allows for that play and that dance. And if you could just do your best to speak into that, because what I see, a lot of suffering comes from a mistrust. People think that people are bad, that they're bad, that the world's broken, that they're broken. You know, it's like, what are you focusing on? And so what do you focus on? What's that center pillar that then allows all this beauty?
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot of trial and error, obviously, with like, it's a muscle. And so, you know, I always tell people like life never gets easier. You just get stronger. You just get more aware. You just get more tapped into your truth. And like, you're still going to have hardships. And so just being like on the front lines for so long and really just kind of like the opposite of faith. I always say the opposite of faith is sight. And so a lot of us want sight and understanding and vision, which is great. But if you want faith, if you really want to live this like kind of mystery, like life is a mystery, and what we don't know what's on the other side. Like a year from now, what can happen if we live by faith and instead of by force, and really trying to have flow to our life. And so I've shared a lot of like beautiful things, but on the back end of like the darkness, like the demons I've befriended, like the hardships I've had with losing my dad when I was 24 years old and lost my house at the same time and lived out of my car for a year and a half. And while I was living out of my car for a year and a half, I was mentoring inner city kids in Denver and doing nonprofit videos for basically free. And so, I basically, I guess in a nutshell, spent my 20s doing some incredible work and giving back, but I never had community. I never had like a curriculum to understand myself. And I never really had like a mentor. And so it was a really dark part of my life that really the more you befriend the darkness and demons, I would say the more you understand the angels and God. And so like, I've spent so much time in like, just, those pit stomach things of like loneliness and yeah, so just, I don't know. I think what you were saying, and so by living by faith is I'm gonna, regardless if I run out of money or my team that I've built with this pursuing purpose thing all leave me tomorrow, I'm never gonna stop, because like there's nothing that can stop me. Like when my dad died and living out of my car for a year and a half, I was committed to this calling on my life, and it's kind of like I guess like a weird way to say it is like I've had this like kind of like bet with God where like, I'm pretty stubborn. Like I'm a Leo and I'm like pretty stubborn and like, I'm pretty like, in my own little dance. And so I'm kind of like, all right, God, like the second you let me down, I'm going the other way. And I'm like, challenge me, and I feel like I've lived my whole life so whimsical and reckless. And I would never, it's just really whimsical and reckless. And I was like, all right, God, the moment you let me down in a way that is not just losing my dad or losing my house, but in a different way, then I'm going to go do my life and I'm going to go do whatever I want to do with my career or my money or my finances or my relationships or my romance. And I feel like I've just had this like journey of faith being like, man, I wish I can go do all these things I want to do. But like for me personally, I've never been let down. And God's will has always been like the compass of like, am I just an angel on earth here to bless people? And so like, maybe I do want to go live in Costa Rica right now with my friends. But right now, my sister's going through like mental health crisis mode, and my mom's taking a lot of that on. So I moved to Denver in September so I can support my mom and sister. And so it wasn't a question of like, what do I want? It's never been a question of what do I want? It's really a question of like, man, where is this like will that's bigger than me? Like if I'm an angel on earth to truly just bless people and love people up, then how do I release my ego, my identity, and just be like, cool, this is the mission, this is the compass. And with that, there's no expectations and there's no suffering because there is no expectations. And so, yeah, I hope that helps.
So we're coming to the end of our time, and I see our next guest here. I just want to repeat two things you just said. One was by faith, not force. Well, I'll actually talk more about that, by like letting go of control and having faith and what that really looks like and what that makes possible. And then also when you are living in a surrendered state and you don't have expectations, there can't be suffering. Those are two powerful keys that just meditate on those. When you let go of expectations, there's no suffering. And by faith, not force. Like truly, those are two really, really potent codes it's a complete perspective shift. And, I'm someone who believes that we get to have our desires. That we are here to experience beautiful life and whatever it is that we want. And what I have found is that for myself, if I'm really listening to God, to my higher self, to my soul, which does sometimes looks like a sacrifice. Like right now, it's South by Southwest in Austin. I didn't do anything, but like I have friends in town from all around the world. There's parties and music and this and that. And I've been focused on creating this. And so what I know to be true is that even if there is some letting go of things that like maybe the ego wants, that the joy and peace that comes from the deeper listening is better than anything that the ego thinks it wants. Is that true for you too?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. There's, that short-term circles here. And I feel like in my, God's plan is like a much bigger, longer marathon, and the life is all about sprints. And then God's like vision is like here. And if you can stay in the marathon long enough and stay committed, and the fruit, like, I guess I talk about fruit a lot too, of like nature and the fruit the seeds you soil, produce is like, it comes in seasons and waves. And so we're not supposed to have fruit all the time. There's supposed to be seasons where you're nurturing and tending and like watering the soil and seeds. And it's a much longer game. We live in America where you can have strawberries in any state at any time you want, which is, wild to think about. And so we're just instant. And then, yeah, I feel like true nature and seasons and like life, like I said, nature explains it all and has all the things you need to know about God in it. And everything is sacred, I guess, I keep coming back to.
Thank you so much for this incredible talk. It was so good to connect with you. You're amazing. And everyone in Return to Source, I'll be sharing how to connect with BC so you can come into his world. And I'm going to say goodbye so I can welcome our next guest.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bye, love.
Congrats, Natasha. Have an amazing session.
And we get to bring amazing Tasha up here. Okay. Bye, BC. Wow. Yeah. How good is that, everyone? Welcome, Natasha. It is so good to have you. Oh my gosh, you all, we are so blessed. Like you get to have another angel pouring into you. This incredible sister is a coach, a mentor, meditation teacher, breathwork guide, and she's going to be sharing with us about some energy cultivation, Taoist practices. And when we were talking, we were talking about how important embodiment energy cultivation is for everything we desire in life, but particularly the energy and momentum was coming up for us because so many of us have these big desires, these big visions, and we interfere with the momentum. It can feel like we put a lot of energy out and like sometimes things don't actually flow, or we like things get in the way, or whatever it is that breaks momentum. And true success comes from momentum. Mm-hmm. And like it starts to build, right? And so, Natasha, rather than interviewing you, I'm just going to let you take us away. And guide us. And it's truly an honor to have you here. I'm so grateful. So everybody give a warm welcome in all of the chats. I'd love to just like, what's on your heart from BC share? And are you excited for Natasha to be here? We're streaming in multiple places. And so it's great to just feel everyone on Facebook and YouTube and here in Zoom. And welcome, my love.
Thank you, babe. Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here and to share what has supported me in ways that I never thought could. And everything that we're going to be talking about today is, again, something that I've practiced for myself, I've cultivated for myself, I've witnessed kind of like what's missing in, I wouldn't even just say like the spiritual realm, or even just the business realm, or like what abundance feels like, or what prosperity looks like, or what wealth is, or health, or like there seemed to be like a missing little juice to me. And I was like, we're talking a lot, and it's great, and there's so much information that, you know, different modalities and different conversations around being that, and why am I still not feeling it? And that's where I really saw that there was like a gap that I was able to bridge. And it's really coming back to simplicity, really, really, really deep embodied simplicity. So we're going to tune into that. And first and foremost, I just want to tap into the understanding and the word and the energy of what does harmonized momentum even mean? So first of all, harmony is kind of like a melody. It's a co-creation of polarities. It's a coming together that supports each other. And yet it's a full co-creation. There's no competition. There's no over here and over there. And it's just like this gray zone that is very powerful, but it's not either or. And it really supports whatever wants to be harmonized. And so momentum, what does momentum even mean? Because some people might assume that, you know, it's like, we're going over here, linear, let's go, success, chop, chop, hustle. And it's not that at all, in my opinion, from what I've observed. And so momentum, the etymology of momentum is actually moving power, which I think is really interesting. So how are we supposed to really embody our own momentum if we don't understand the power in our bodies? We keep pushing and pushing, going, okay, I'm in the momentum, I'm going. But what I've realized over time is that there's this type of momentum up here, and then there's this momentum. And what I mean by that is that the heart will always be the number one driver. The body will always be the number one driver. And this is what I realized being in this industry for 13 plus years, is that a lot of people are doing the work up here. And then there's a disconnection from the heart and the body. And the body has a story to tell you. And the body is here to support you. And when we understand how to tap into this inner moving power, our own momentum, then now we're actually able to harmonize our energy so that we can support ourselves to really have sustainable, healthy, abundant, loving, graceful momentum, so that there's no crash, there's no addiction to bliss, because a lot of us can get up there too, right? Where we're like, oh my God, this is so good. And then right away, boom, we crash and we're like, why is this happening? Et cetera, et cetera. And we get confused and we make it about our worth and our value and who we are and what we've done or what we haven't done. And a lot of us do all the things and we're like, I don't understand. I'm still not getting the stuff. Maybe I'm a shit manifester. That's not the case. We hear this all the time. I hear this all the time with the women that I work with, the men too, honestly. It's really funny. And something that I was hearing just BC kind of share in terms of like God, source, spirit, whatever higher power you believe in, and having faith and really getting yourself out of the way. That is also part of really being in your own harmonized momentum, is that when you understand how to utilize the power within and connect to that source, you understand that it's not just about you. So your mature masculine, your mature feminine energy really come together and create this like spiral, again, harmony. They come together and they work together to support each other, so that you realize you get to lean back in this receiving that most of us don't feel comfortable with, because we're so addicted to chaos and we're like, I got to do stuff to prove to myself that I'm worthy of receiving. Versus what does my life look like when I feel so safe, so held, so harmonized from within, that I get to lean back and receive what life has to offer to me. And that will dissolve a lot of stories that your ego is holding on to. and it invites a new identity forward. Who are you then? What does your life look like then? How are you operating then? How's your energy then? And this is like my favorite part about this entire type of work, I guess is the word, even though it's not work, it's just a coming back home. From this, we get to recognize that this is our natural state. We're self-healing organisms. We're abundant. We're fluid. People who talk about finding flow state, that's the natural you without all the layers on top. You're just free, you're liberated, and you allow your heart to guide you. And so obviously we're men and women here. So I want to talk about both because I do think it's important, because we're not the same. Male body, female body. I just want to make that clear. So whether you're in your masculine, feminine, doesn't matter. We have both. You have a male body or a female body. And each of us have our own specific charge in our body that supports us best to really come back into our most powerful natural state, which would mean our momentum, right? Like, where does our power lie? And so many people will say that for women, it's our womb. And actually, it's not. It's our hearts. Our heart is our power charge. When that's open, then the womb opens, then we're created, then we're in here. We're like, wow, holy crap, I am like alive. So it's very important for women to continuously take part into what feels good for them according to their hearts. And guaranteed 90% plus of people don't even know what that means or what that feels like or what that looks like. And guess what? That's okay, because we've been taught otherwise our whole lives. So you have the invitation right now to really just check in with yourself. Like, damn, did I ever really take the time to like feel into that space in my chest and see what it feels like, what it desires, what it wants, what ignites it? And then how can I share this with myself, with my whole body, so that my energy spreads and it's like an extension in my hands and it's extension in my womb and it's an extension in my legs. And now when you show up in the world, you're really an embodied being where people feel you. It's not just about what you do or what you say. It's about who you are. It's the being, it's the energy. Just like when you communicate, I'm sure right here, right now, as you're hearing me talk, there's a part of you that's going, damn, she is hitting me with the words. It's not really about the words. It's about my energy. It's about who I've become, who I've chosen to become, and how I really allow myself to support myself in my body to feel safe to be that. It's not something we wait for. It's something that we cultivate and we utilize for ourselves. And it's a constant devotion. And I really, especially for women, I hear me out on this, but I really think the word devotion is a lot better than commitment, because commitment goes, ugh, and devotion goes, ah, that energy. So let's focus on devotion versus commitment. So, because we always want to tap into like, how do we want our bodies to feel like, oh, that relief of yes, 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 versus the cringe, cringe, cringe. And for men, what's really interesting is that it's the complete opposite. Your charge is at the core of your spine. It's in your genitals. And this is why we have a lot of men that are disconnected from their own hearts, because they tap in here, but they're trying to go down there and they can't. And it's from down there, rising the energy all the way up, that ignites your heart. And then you're like, holy crap, I feel my entire body. And of course, we've been taught, the opposite of men and women. It's like what we've been shown. It's like the complete opposite of where our charges are. So for men, there's like a distortion of like what that looks like to be so in your genitals, in your power, in your masculine. How can this open me up? How can this really support my whole body to feel anchored, to feel in my mission, to feel in my body, present, ignited, solid? I'm the rock. And then from that energy, it opens up their hearts. And being in that co-creative energy as women, as men, as male, female, biologically, energetically, on all fronts, is that as women, our giving starts from our hearts and our breasts and our bodies. And we give from that place Men receive it in their chest, in their hearts, it goes down. And then the giving comes from their genitals, from their core, from their root. And then we receive that back up. So it becomes, energy works in circles. It always works in circles. That's what they say, when whatever you put out, you receive back. That's just because it's always circles. So when we are not fully empowered in our own charges as male and female, it's not that it's bad. In my world, there's nothing bad or good or right or wrong. It's just like, is this supporting you? Is this really what feels best for you? Are you operating from a place where you are from a full cup? And you're like, it's not even a giving or receiving. It is completely a sharing. And it's constantly recycled and it's constantly just coming back. So now your relationship with energy is very different. Are we good so far? Are we still on track? Is this like resonating, landing? Okay, cool. Amazing. So my invitation, I just want to check on time so we're still good because I can talk forever. And we're going to have a question period after, right? Okay, cool.
Yeah, so you got 15 minutes for this portion, and then we'll come into just the Zoom room. And I'll actually just take this moment for any of you that are in the Facebook or YouTube. If you want to be able to come on and ask Tasha questions, you can still join us in this more intimate group. I'm going to put the link in the chats. And you'll get the Zoom room emailed to you right away. So please join us if you want to go deeper into this. And for those of you who are in Zoom, you're going to get to ask her questions so you can really like practice and live this.
Yes.
So continue, my love.
Thank you. So actually my invitation now is that I really want us to be in the experience of this and what that looks like. So we're going to do just a quick visualization, breath, tuning in, meditation, whatever you want to call it, just so that we can understand, like, what does this feel like? What does this look like? And my invitation for you is that allow me to guide you. It's going to be 10 minutes. Allow me to guide you. There's no right, there's no wrong. If you're wondering, like, am I doing this okay? Whatever is your experience, you're exactly experiencing exactly what you need. There is no way to do this. This is just like, maybe you've never done this before. Maybe you have, and this is just different. And maybe I'm saying something completely, contradictory to everything you've known, and good. Let it invite you into a deeper, just let's explore. Let's be curious. What does this feel like? Does that feel good? Beautiful. Okay. So I'm going to share, am I able to share just my audio? Yes, I am. I can see this. Okay, cool. So I'm going to put on a little music. So we just support ourselves into being in that really music is it's a drive, like, especially, I mean, for all of us, music is extremely beneficial for all of us, but women, man, we need to dance. We need to practice dancing in a way that you're taking off the freaking mask. Take off the performance, take off the mask. And what does it look like to move your body from your heart without putting on a show? Yeah, that's the invitation for you. So if it lands, great. If it doesn't, great. So I'm going to put on some music. So I invite you to whatever you have in your hands, maybe just like dropping your pen, dropping your journal, whatever, if you're in a car, whatever it is, like really just let's devote the next 10 minutes to just being as here as possible, whatever that looks like for you. So even if you've got like different distractions going on, totally okay. We're going to do our best with what we have. And that's all we can ask for. So I'm just going to play the music just to check in. Again, sometimes with the voice and the music, I just want to make sure it's like loud enough to hear, but also not too loud that you can't hear my voice. Charlene, if you could let me know if like the sound, it's just starting, so it's a little low.
So far the music seems really low, but let's wait till it. I'll say turn it off.
How about this?
Then
Testing, 1, 2, testing. Good?
you're good, yeah.
Okay, awesome. So I invite you to lean back in your chair, closing your eyes, in your bed, on your couch, wherever you're sitting. Maybe it's on the floor. I just want you to feel the weight of your body in your seat. I want you to feel the weight of your pelvis. And just witnessing in your body where you're holding tension. Releasing the lower belly. Releasing the jaw. Releasing the shoulders. Releasing the tongue. Releasing the hips. And as you're letting go and releasing, I want you to breathe just really gently and calmly in through your nose. Belly breath, bringing up the breath to the chest and exhaling through your mouth, nice and slow, calm, gentle. Again, deep inhale through the nose, belly breath, chest breath, and let's hold the breath at the top and relax your body in this breath. And exhaling through the mouth, nice and slow, controlled, loving, and gentle. And now I just want you to tap into and feel into the subtle energy that's moving in your body. And maybe you might feel a little uncomfortable. So maybe you're like wanting to move or shake. Just try to be as still as possible. Make this devotion to you. So how still can I be? How much can I witness this energy, my breath? And the energy in your body can feel cold, can feel warm, can feel like a tingle. And just witness that for a moment. Allow yourself to sink even deeper into your own body, your own safety. Many of us are scared to be fully in our bodies because we feel that we might feel too much, and that's scary. But really, that's where the magic is. That's what you're here for, is to feel into all the different energies. Women, I want you to bring your attention and intention to your heart space. And men, I want you to bring your attention and intention into your genitals, into your core. So just bring that awareness into that area. And just tune in. We're not trying to change anything, control anything. Just simple witnessing. Bringing the breath to this area. Inhaling through the nose, exhaling through the mouth. I just want you to take a moment to say welcome and hi to your charge. Hi, maybe I haven't tapped into that in a little while. I'm sorry, forgive me. I love you. Maybe that feels weird. That's okay. Everything has told us that it wasn't safe to be in our charges. So let's take a moment of forgiveness for ourselves, for maybe forgetting, maybe not cherishing and worshiping those areas in the way that they deserve, in the way that we deserve to operate from our most abundant, harmonized, loving momentum. I want you to take a deep inhale through your nose, bringing the energy and the breath into your charge. And on your exhale, I want you to open up your jaw and use your voice to let out the sound that wants to be expressed. And there will probably most definitely have resistance. And that's okay. Your invitation is to go there anyways. So deep inhale into your charge. And deep exhale using your voice. Your voice has an incredible ability, frequency to support your body. Use it, it's here for you. So let's do it a couple times again. Deep inhale, bringing the breath into the charge, and exhaling with noise, with sound. Give yourself permission to take up space with your voice. Let's do it one more time, all together. Deep inhale into your charge, and hold the breath at the top for a second and really feel safe into holding this energy and feeling into this energy. And your devotion to your next exhale is to allow your voice to activate with your exhale. Release, exhale, letting it go, letting it out, using your voice, using your breath, coming home. Now I want you to witness the energy moving inside your body. And for the next minutes, I want you to really allow this energy to spread through your whole body. So your heart energy, bringing the breath down to the womb, to the core. Men, I want you to bring up this energy into your heart. It's a visualization, it's an intention, and it's a breathing. Trust the energy to move through your body, to move up, to move around. Trust, trust, trust. Just be with this. I want you to bring your hands to your charge. So women to your hearts and men to your core. And I want you to repeat after me out loud. I am safe to be in my charge. I give myself permission to embody my charge powerfully. My greatest gift to the world is to be in my charge. It feels good to come home. And I am devoted to continuously come back here. I am devoted to myself. And I allow this energy to spread through my whole body. To empower me and support me into being the revolution I want to see in the world. This is where it starts. Take a moment of appreciation for yourself. for your breath, for your body. I want you to take a deep inhale through the nose. You're going to bring your hands together and rub them, create heat, create friction. And you're going to exhale and you're going to shake out this energy from your hands. Good. And again, deep inhale, bring them back together, creating heat, creating friction. And let's let out a deep sigh all together. One last time, let's make this the most powerful, loving, liberating inhale and exhale. And exhale, shaking it out. Good, and just be with this for a moment. Take your time to come back. Be gentle, be soft. And celebrate yourself for showing up. Celebrate yourself for giving yourself permission to go there, to receive guidance, to give yourself this gift of being here with me for 30 minutes, an hour, to joining this entire beautiful experience that Charlene put together. And I would love to hear if you have any insight, how you're feeling, if there's words, if there's whatever it is you want to share, open to share. And whoever's watching live on other platforms, come and join the party on Zoom.
Yeah. Nicole, you're really cultivating this ecstasy. I love it. So yesterday, Natasha, I invited people to choose one state of being, one quality that they really wanted to build on in this next week. And I'm just grateful that you are really like claiming and creating an ecstasy. And calm, beautiful. And in Facebook, let's see what you guys are saying. So for those of you on Facebook and YouTube, I did just share the link to join us in the more private group. Tasha's going to stay on for us with answer questions about how to really cultivate your energy on a day-to-day. Like, what does that even mean, energy cultivation? If you have any specific questions about the tools. And just as a reminder, because tomorrow will probably be the last day I'll share with any of you about it. But I'm going to be offering today, this afternoon, a private 1 hour for this group. We're going to be doing breath, a lot more energy cultivation. We're going to really have a practice that's going to revive your spirit. It's really powerful. It's an integration of Sukshma Vyama and quantum flow. And we're going to do a bit of a Kabbalistic ritual for creation for the spring so that your seeds, your visions, your dreams can have more energy. And I'm going to be coaching you for an additional 2 weeks after this. So it's basically like, if you want to be in this energy and have this intimacy and be connected and not be on the streams, then please join us. I dropped the link, it's pinned there. And so we'll see you over here on Zoom. If you aspire to join. And just as a reminder as well, your home joy for today is to cultivate love, praise, and gratitude in everything that you do. Keep building on that energy today. It is your access point to source. It's your access point to whatever it is that you want to create for yourself, what you want to be the source of. And I'll see you all again tomorrow morning, same time. We have Cassandra Bozak tomorrow is going to do a EFT tapping practice with you. She's amazing. So I'll see you all tomorrow. Have a beautiful day. And Zoom, we're coming over to you. Yay!